Welcome into the Jon and Lebo show, a rare Tuesday show for us. John Sokoloff, Alex Lebowitz. Alex, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just hanging out. We got an early show this week. A lot going on. Had a good weekend. A good New England weekend. Was out in Gloucester, and it was fun on the ocean, on the water. It was a good time.
So what's technically New England? That's like Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Where does it start? Where does it end?
I mean, it depends regionally. Technically,
it depends who you talk.
Connecticut is dead to me. I don't. Connecticut is probably like the least relevant state in this country. There's no identity there. I don't consider a part of New England. To be a part of New England, you have to be affiliated with Boston. That is the hub of New England. Connecticut has a problem. They're in between New York City and Boston. A lot of people like Boston. A lot of people like New York City.
Yeah, but they try to do both. They try to be both sometimes.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. Yeah. So Connecticut, they're not on team New England, in my opinion. Some people would disagree, but even people from Connecticut, it's like they're like, we're New England. This is New England. Like, really, who do you root for? They say the Yankees. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not New England. Like that's literally like so anti-New England. It's not. You're a Jets fan. You root for the Yankees. Yeah, or it would go Giants, Yankees if you're a true fan. And yeah, Connecticut is not a part of New England.
So it's just Massachusetts up.
No, in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and even Vermont is. I'll count Vermont. I'm not gonna bash Vermont. Most people from Vermont are Red Sox fans. A lot of them are New York affiliated too in a way, but yeah, Vermont. We'll count Vermont. Vermont's like the hippie state of New England. New Hampshire's the redneck state. Maine's vacation land. People go out, but that's also a redneck state. Massachusetts, it's much more. I don't know what the word would be. It's kind of like it's the most educated state in I think it's one of the most educated states in the country. So it's like different tone from New Hampshire and Maine. I'm spewing ignorance right now. And Rhode Island is the ocean state. There's a bunch of.
It's good to know. I honestly thought Connecticut was a part of it, but it's good to know.
It is. It is technically. You ask someone who is in tune with geography, they'll say that it is because technically it is. I just don't consider it a part of New England ever.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be something that's objective?
No, it absolutely is objective. It's subjective.
Oh. Well, how is a region subjective?
No, it's subjective. I'm being subjective. I'm saying I don't consider. I don't consider it a part of New England. It's like you're from New Jersey. It'd be like saying New Jersey's a part of like the New York area. Like you're a Philly guy. You're not a New York guy.
Yeah, that's
like right. Even New Jersey, like all of it. You're not affiliated with New York. You're in no man's land. You have no identity. Which is why they all try to overcompensate down there in that state. No offense.
Yeah, no, North Jersey, I think is the worst part in the United States. But
you went to Atlantic City, didn't you? This weekend?
Oh my God, yeah, I lost like $250. I had to go right from there to Birds like training camp on Sunday. Got 3.5 hours of sleep on that Saturday night.
I mean, that's good. You got a disposable income, right?
I don't. No, it was. Oh my God, dude! I was like in like the resort. You know who was there? Scott Disick was there. The Kourtney Kardashian's old second
yeah,
was there, and that made like a ton of other people go. We were staying at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, and it would have costed money had we like it would have been like a $50 cover. But the fact that we were staying there, like we were able to go there for free. But it was just like it was a mess. I was inside like the casino area like for like 2 days straight, didn't get like any fresh air. No, but it was a lot of fun though. I mean, I went to that place. Scott Disick was there. I mean, I didn't really care about him. Like, yeah. To me, you're not famous if all you're famous for is porking a Kardashian. I'm sorry, but it's just
or being a Kardashian. Like that's not. You are famous. I also want to go on record. Another thing, the Kardashian family is horrible. I hate them all. Every single one of them. Caitlyn, Kris, Kendall.
We all know. We know who they are. You don't
I want to make sure we get to all Khloe, Kourtney, and of course Kim. Kanye, you're affiliated in that mess. I like your old stuff, but you're starting to lose it. I hate all the Kardashians. I think if you're one of those people who's like, she's a smart businesswoman. No, she's not. She made a porno once, and it happened to work out for her, just like it did for her mom. It's a family full of porn stars that just first class porn stars. Hot take of the day. I hate the Kardashians.
You should write a blog about that.
I might. I'll
Anyway,
write my local paper.
I forgot to mention this. I was watching the movie Drive the other day. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's top 5, maybe even top 3 movie for me at this point.
Really?
The cast is loaded. It's like Gosling went on like a 3-year hiatus from like 2007 to 2010. This movie came out in 2011, like after Crazy Stupid Love. So like people remembered who he was, but he still like hadn't like blown back up yet. Cranston was in it. It was like season 2 of Breaking Bad. So like he was still like just like really getting like a lot bigger, like everyone really knowing who he is. Oscar Isaac was a good actor. Albert Brooks played a gangster.
Albert Brooks played a gangster,
and he was so good, man.
You already lost me.
You got to watch it. I'm telling you, he played like a Jewish gangster.
What? Those don't exist. No, that's
no. But definitely watch it, man. You know what I was thinking? I was starting to think about like stuff like this the other day. Like if big time actors were like quarterbacks of like NFL teams, like who would be on what? I feel like Gosling would be a Dolphins kind of guy. I don't know why. I just get like I get the vibe that he'd be like a Dolphin, you know?
Yeah, I think that's because Miami is like the most. You got the LA Rams and you got the Chargers moving in there, but they're not really LA. Like I feel like the Dolphins are the most like LA style, like in regard to like flashiness.
Right. Maybe it's just because like he's like a big actor like that. I thought of him to be in like a flashy city like Miami, LA. Like I could see him being an LA Ram. Maybe it's just because maybe Jared Goff reminds me of him a little bit in a weird way that I can't.
Is Ryan Gosling Canadian?
No, I used to think it was from like, because like, you know, when you watch movies, like you Google the movie, you click on the actor, you find out stuff about him. I Googled Gosling and it said Ontario, CA. And I was like, wow, okay, he's Canadian. Oh, and also, oh, cool. He's with Eva Mendes. Nice. But then,
nice.
So I looked at it again. So and then like when I was living in LA, I asked like a friend of mine and he goes, yeah, I got to go to a NASCAR race in Ontario. I'm like, oh, you're going all the way to Canada? He goes, no, Ontario, California. It's like 45 minutes away. Then I realized it was Ontario. That's really...
No, he is from Ontario, Canada. I just looked it up. So your story.
Click on Ontario.
London, Ontario, in Canada. It's southwestern Ontario, Canada.
I thought he was from Canada. Then the last 3 months, I thought he wasn't, and now I'm trying to. I'm like, no, you idiot. He's not from Canada. And so
is that your inner dialogue? That's your voice?
Like that one guy that, like the one idiot, like in the crowd, that's just like, no, like he's clearly
who
wrong.
Acts like he knows everything, but he doesn't.
Yeah, he's acting like he's explaining it to you. No, what do you mean? Of course, Kevin Bacon was in Footloose. He wasn't in Footloose. That was a family guy.
I think it was. Yeah.
But anyway, I think we've gone too far.
Okay, but let's just recap. Connecticut is not in New England. It's not part of it. New Jersey is trash. Gosling is Canadian. The Kardashians suck, and anyone who likes them or respects them in any way also sucks.
And Gosling is going to be the next quarterback of the Dolphins or Rams or Chargers.
One of those 4, 3, whatever, how many ever you mentioned.
Yeah,
all right, let's start up.
Yeah, Jay Cutler, speaking of Dolphins quarterback, way less attractive than Ryan Gosling, but hey, he's there now, and he still looks like he doesn't give a shit about anything. But I mean, the guy, look, 1 year, $10 million plus incentives. I haven't even looked at the incentives yet.
It's up to $13 million.
Yeah, probably like what if he throws like 4,000 yards, probably makes another $1 million. Like 20 touchdowns, he makes another like $500K, probably something like that. Obviously, those aren't facts. I'm just like saying speculation as to what it might be, but I think it's a great move. I didn't think they were in a position to put Matt Moore in there unless he earned it. And maybe during training camp they thought, okay, this guy hasn't earned like a starting spot. He's a great backup, and although when he's coming to be a backup, he's done a fine job. He doesn't have the skill set to be an everyday franchise quarterback, and they know that. Hey, Tannehill will be out for a year. Adam Gase knows that he knows Jay Cutler really well from his their year together in Chicago, yeah. So I mean, he'll all right, yeah. I could sign someone else. I could sign a Kaepernick type who, 1, isn't as good as Cutler, 2, would be a lot more controversial, and 3, he's probably not even good enough to be their starter. I mean, this guy lost his job to Blaine Gabbert. Instead, they went to Cutler and thought, all right, this guy knows Gase. He knows this offense. He'll know how to work it well. And so it won't take that much time. And yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's 1 year. And Tannehill will be back next year. The worst thing that happens is obviously if Cutler stinks there and they're not able to use their weapons, then they don't make the playoffs. Okay, well, you let him go. Tannehill's back. But say Cutler has a Pro Bowl caliber season, leads him to, who knows, maybe a divisional playoff game. I'm just trying to be optimistic for the Dolphins, or maybe and plays a really competitive division game. Then I think they have another conversation to have, But again, who knows? Obviously, they probably want to stick with Tannehill. They had first-round pick, and he's led them to the playoffs. And well, actually, he was hurt going in the playoffs.
If they chose Jay Cutler over Ryan Tannehill for the future of the Dolphins, that would be a travesty.
Right, but I'm just saying, you don't think that if he were to lead them to a divisional round and play a really tough, great game and have a great season for them, it wouldn't be somewhat of a thing to ponder or a conversation to maybe have?
I mean, it's preseason week 1, so I don't think it's going to happen, personally. I think Jay Cutler, top 5 worst body language of all time. Right? He's a guy who I look at as someone who's not respected in most NFL locker rooms. He's been accused of quitting on his team, and who seems to just have a bad, I don't really give a shit attitude. So I look at a guy like that, and you're bringing him into a new system with the coach he is familiar with, which is good. I don't have high expectations for Jay.
I'm not saying I did either, but you got to admit the guy has the skill set. And
that's why he's always gotten so much slack, because he's had the skill to succeed in this league, but just kind of mails it in, does what he needs to do to get that big contract, and that's it. I'm not gonna. It's a fine signing. I understand them going to Cutler over Kaepernick. I know that's a big thing. I get it. It's not like there's much of a difference between the two. You're in a very heavily Cuban populated place, and you got a guy in Colin Kaepernick who's publicly supported Fidel Castro, which American Cubans will despise. So you're in a market that's heavily populated by Cubans with a guy who supports Castro. That's not going to work out. Adam Gase has worked with Jay Cutler. He knows him better than we do. Maybe he is a guy who just has a bad rap in the media, and Gase can keep him under control. I get it. I get the signing. If anything, it's to compete with Matt Moore. Maybe Matt Moore is the better option. Who knows? But I'm not going to have high expectations. This team will win 7 games, maybe 8 tops, in my opinion, with Jay Cutler under center.
Here's my thing with it. My final take with this: this was the best move they could have made, in my opinion. Because you can either go with Kaepernick, a lot of controversy, not as good of a quarterback. It just doesn't make as much sense. You go with Matt Moore, who's a guy who, obviously, if he was a starter in this league, another team would have tried to sign him in free agency, and he wouldn't be a Dolphins backup for so long. So going with Cutler, it's a guy that's had the most league experience. He's won one playoff game. I'm just saying, it's better than a guy like Matt Moore who's won none. He went to a NFC championship game. The guy's had a little bit of success in the league, showed what he can do. Maybe this could be a fresh start for him. Who knows? Maybe Chicago is more of a toxic environment. His best year was in Denver. And then he left. Maybe Chicago wasn't the greatest fit for him. I know the guy looks like a jackass. I'm just trying to see the light in it for Miami.
I get that. But your 2 leaders right now, you got look at the locker room. That's not I don't look at that locker room as a stable environment with a lot of veteran leadership. You got Jay Cutler, who's your leader on offense, and Ndamukong Suh, who's your leader on defense. And I've always been hard on Ndamukong Suh. A lot of people have. I just don't look at this as a team that's this is a team that could upset some people. No, they don't have the character to do it. They have a young coach who did well last year with a really good quarterback. This is a giant step down. That's the thing. It's a giant step down from Ryan Tannehill, who's entering his prime, to Jay Cutler, who's 34 years old, who really has nothing to play for besides his contract. Do you think he's really coming into this season being I want to win a Super Bowl? He's not. He's coming to this season being I want to make $10 million, potentially $13 million, but I'd be fine with 10. It's better than making $500,000 a year as an analyst. He realizes that. Well, so I don't have high expectations for the guy. He's a bum. If he was offered half this contract, I don't think he'd take it. No. I think he's doing it for the money, not to win, not for legacy reasons. He doesn't give a shit about his legacy anymore. He knows people hate him. He knows what his reputation is. He gets to live in Miami with his C-list celebrity wife and bring in a decent paycheck. That's it. He's not winning there. They're probably going to be the 3rd best team in the AFC East, in my opinion. I think. Well,
Tannehill has had attitude problems too.
Absolutely, but he's also a lot more talented, and I think he's more of a competitor than Jay Cutler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I just thought it was the best move for them for this one season. And look, the Dolphins can be like, yeah, the guy's a jackass, but hey, giving him incentives. I mean, if he wants an extra $3 million, whatever, this guy's not our future. He's just a 1-year rental. We're going to rent him for 1 year. We're going to try to get back to the playoffs and stay as competitive. What Adam Gase is trying to do, he's trying to build a winning culture in Miami. And I think that if you were to go with Matt Moore and they were to go 7-9, 6-10, that winning culture would have taken a big step back. You go in with Cutler, maybe win 10 games, maybe make the playoffs. Who knows? Go to that divisional round. That winning culture is sustained for when your franchise quarterback comes back under center to lead them next season.
Yeah, maybe. I could see it as a move that they're making to prevent any type of plateau. They want to continue improving and continue to develop their young talent. I get that. They don't want to take a step back. So they're bringing in a guy who will continue the success and try to do a serviceable job while Tannehill's out. And it's only 1 year. So Tannehill will be back. There's no opportunity for Cutler to really overtake that position. He won't. I get it. I do get it. I don't think this team's going to be above 500 personally.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see where it goes this season. The AFC East is always so interesting. Like the Bills, will they break that 17-year drought? The Pats, obviously the best team in football. You got the Jets, who are going to be the worst roster that I've seen in a number of years. And now the Dolphins with Cutler. I mean, it's a very interesting division. I'm excited.
I think this is going to be one of the easiest times that the Patriots have had with this division in a while. You were like the only competition in this division, in my opinion, were the Dolphins. They were a team that I thought would squeak into the playoffs as a wild card team. Without Ryan Tannehill, they're not doing that. They're definitely not beating the Patriots. Jay Cutler is like 0-3 against the Patriots and has gotten murdered every single time he's gone up against this team. It's not going to be any different. The second best team, in my opinion, the team that will finish second will probably be the Bills. I think the Bills will honestly finish second in the AFC East. The Jets are obviously going to be at the cellar of probably the league, let alone the division. There's not the AFC East. The only thing interesting about it is the team in New England. That's it.
Well, dude, the Bills always have all the pieces, whatever. They just can't be good. They literally can't. That winning culture isn't there. They stink, no matter what. Who knows? Maybe even Tom Brady could go there and they'd still be 8-8 or 9-7. They'll never get over that 9-7 hump. I think Miami, I don't think they're taking a huge step back here with Cutler. I'm telling you, I really think I liked them a lot going into last year, and people doubted me, and I still stand by it. I thought it was a good move by them. This offense is fun with Landry and everything. I mean, if Landry isn't suspended.
Did you hear his quote on? He's like, "Well, I'm a quarterback, so my cardiovascular ability isn't
important." Yeah.
It's like, and he's got that face. It's just like he's not fat, but he has a double chin because he's at that age. And
he smokes cigarettes.
And he smokes cigarettes, and he's always. I shouldn't speak, but he always has bedhead, and he looks at you with his squinty eyes, and he's just like, yeah, I just want to go out there and have some fun. Like it's clear the guy doesn't care. He's just doing it to do it, and he's talented. And I heard a comparison on 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, and it was very fitting. The comparison was between Jay Cutler and David Price. And I think that's spot on. Two guys with a ton of talent, with horrible attitudes who can't deal with adversity, and they both went to Vanderbilt. So there you go.
But Jay Cutler's not as soft.
I think Jay Cutler's pretty soft.
You can't be an NFL quarterback and be soft.
Yeah, you can.
Taking all the hits that he has and all the things that have gone on with him in his career.
There's a difference between
that guy's had a ton of concussions.
I know, but there's a difference between being like physically tough and mentally soft, like mentally tough. So you might be physically a tough guy. You got to take hits. There's a lot of mental midgets in the NFL. You can't act like there's not. Like I don't know. And he's a guy who has a lot of talent. He's 34 years old. I don't know how he'll do going into this year, but I don't look at him as one of the tough quarterbacks, the mentally tough. No, he's at the bottom. He's at the bottom of the league in that category.
Yeah, I agree with that. But okay, but let's move on. And to move on, I have a question.
Okay.
If Vince Wilfork retires, does it make a sound?
Yes, it does. Come on, show some respect. The guy. How dare you? Yeah, Vince Wilfork had a great career. He's one of the more likable guys in the league. He's one of those guys who's married to his high school sweetheart, was a part of the Patriots, never got in trouble, even though he went to Miami of all places. And yeah, he played until he was like 34. For an interior defensive lineman, that's very impressive. That's a tough guy.
But what about? Can you say that he's the? Oh, okay. Wow, he's still playing. Is he of that caliber? How about that?
I think last year.
In the middle.
I think last year he was. Once you, I feel like if you play with the Patriots for your entire career and then you leave the Patriots, that's gonna be your reputation from then on out. Like with the exception of maybe like Wes Welker when he went to Denver, if you're not on a super relevant team and you lead the Pats, that's the way it goes. You're gonna be like, oh, that guy's still playing. And
thank you.
So like Mike Vrabel when he went to the Chiefs, it's not like people are like, oh, Mike Vrabel, he's dominating in Kansas City. Like, no, it was that exact reality. Like, oh, he's still playing, even though he's not with the team that he's known for being on. So yeah, I do think like I think that this got some publicity though. It was heard. He was still a serviceable player in his last year. He would have been on an NFL roster this year if he really wanted to, But like most guys, they come to the realization that they want to be able to remember why they walk into rooms after the age of 50. I know I've used that one before, but that's the reality. You want to get out, even though he's probably too late for that, given the fact that he's played 13 years, 14 years. But yeah, I mean, you got to respect his legacy. He's one of the best interior defensive linemen of this generation. Could potentially be a Hall of Famer. Who knows? He will be inducted in the Patriots Hall of Fame. I know that. And he has a heck of a legacy. The guy won, what was it? Three Super Bowls. I think he won 3 Super Bowls or 2. So, I for one, I'll always have a place in my heart for a guy like Vince Wilfork. He's one of my favorite players to ever put on a Pats uniform. I think if you're a Pats fan, you can't help but love him. And it'll be exciting to see what he does next. I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna start a food show, like a grilling show. And I mean, I think my dad loves this shit. My dad loves Food Network and loves watching. And he's like, oh, look, they're making clams or whatever it is. That's my impression of my dad. And you bet your ass that I've taken after him and loving those shows as well.
Those shows either just make me hungry or like I accidentally turn them on when I'm like too full and I'm just like, I don't want to watch it.
This makes me sick. But I'm going to watch it. I'm watching his show, even if I just ate an entire meal. Like I'm going to be an avid fan of Vince Wilfork's programming once he's on the Food Network or Travel Channel, wherever he goes. So I'm excited for that. It's the next step in his career. It'll be fun.
Yeah, man. I mean, like he was a great player. I mean, he was a part of that 04 Pats team. What do you want me to say? I just think it's a lot bigger news around like the New England area than it is national, just with all the other stuff coming around too, like right now.
Who do you compare? Like, what's his legacy in the NFL to you? Like in the past 15 years, where does he rank in regards to top defensive lineman? He's definitely top 10.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Interior defensive lineman.
Right, I know, but he is. But I'm just saying, like, there's other positions, other players that are bigger, that make bigger storylines that distract from him.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to happen with any older athlete who you forget still playing. Like that does go back to that point. His best years are behind him. Once he left New England, that's the way it goes. You leave New England late in your career, people aren't going to really keep up with you all that much, and they're not going to really remember you're even in the league, with the exception of a few guys.
Absolutely. Do you want to move on to Mike Trout? Yesterday, and there's like a whole thing with this that I'm actually excited about. Like throughout our whole like high school, getting into now, and maybe this isn't as much true with Harper because he's only 24. Remember, like for so long, I feel like that same storyline. Mike Trout, the young player, the young guy who's revolutionizing baseball, who's like the best player in the league at this age. Like he's the talk of the town. Now, yesterday, he's 26 now. There's a lot of like younger. There's like a younger phenomenon in baseball with your Cody Bellingers and your Aaron Judges and Andrew Benintendis and guys like that. So you look at Mike Trout now, and even Bryce Harper, like because he's only 24, but it feels like he's been around for a while. Now the game is shifting where those guys aren't the young pieces anymore that everyone talks about. Now they have to share a little bit of the of the spotlight. And
Yeah.
I think it's refreshing for baseball with your Nolan Arenados too, and guys like that, like those other young guys, because they're so fun to watch as well. And now they'll get more of the spotlight.
I mean, yeah, the only problem is they're all hitters. There's not really like how many young pitchers do you see that are kind of taking over the game? There's
Not
really
many.
there's not many at all. That's a problem for the MLB. Although, the name of the game is offense, and if you got power hitters, a guy like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout as the face of the game, you're in good position. But I think a lot of the reason why Mike Trout goes under the radar to an extent is because he's boring. Like he's just like have you ever heard? I don't think I've ever heard him speak. Maybe in a Subway commercial, but like he's not someone who's gonna like be super charismatic. Like Bryce Harper's the bad boy of baseball. Like he's a dick. You love to hate him, and he's entertaining. So marketability purposes, Bryce Harper's always going to be the guy. Mike Trout, I think, will go under the radar. I think he's like a Miguel Cabrera in that regard. Miguel Cabrera, and maybe that's something that foreign players deal with more so than American-born players. Miguel Cabrera is probably the best hitter, him and Albert Pujols of our generation. But no one really like thinks of him all that much. No one's really, I think, appreciates it as much, appreciates the legacy. Mike Trout, people definitely appreciate him. He's a 5-tool player, one of the most talented guys I've ever seen play. But yeah, he's not a young guy anymore. They're bringing in a new crop. Baseball's in a great position though because of this.
I agree.
So you got guys from the age of 20, and a guy like Rafael Devers, who's just getting called up for the Red Sox, to 26 on the other end of the spectrum with Mike Trout. You got a lot of young guys who are really exciting to watch, who are taking over the game, and kind of, as you see the Derek Jeters and David Ortiz's retire, you're bringing in all these new guys, the Andrew Benintendi's, the Aaron Judges. That's great news for baseball. You need to cycle these guys in, and they're more exciting to watch probably. Baseball has an excitement problem. It's boring. It takes too long. That's the reality. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'll always be a fan. But to the average sports fan, they're going to watch the NBA or the NFL over the MLB any day. So to have this young talent is really good for the MLB. And with Mike Trout getting his 1,000th hit, you got to talk about his legacy. He's going to go down as one of the best of this generation if he keeps up. Future Hall of Famer, a guy who will be, if he keeps it up, the best player of this generation or one of them. And he's only 26. I know it's tough to say, but you can't scoff at these numbers.
No, you can't. And he's just like, he's so exciting. So we hear about him a lot in like the Philadelphia media, just because like, oh, is he going to come to Philly? Oh, he's from this region. Oh, is he? Shut up. Oh my God, he's a big Eagles fan. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on. But I also want to touch on that is a big problem. The fact that there's not that many young great pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like half of them are on the Mets roster, but they keep getting hurt. You look at Noah Syndergaard, he's probably the closest thing you have to like a young dominant pitcher. And even Chris Sale's only 27, 28. He's young. Clayton Kershaw isn't super old. You got dominant pitchers in the MLB, but it's not like you have these dominant young guys like you don't have like a Felix Hernandez coming up right now.
No.
Maybe someone's slipping my mind, but you don't have a Felix Hernandez coming up right now who's like 21 years old, who's dominating. That's what baseball needs on top of these young, talented hitters. You need these pitchers who are going to dominate. Hopefully they come around sooner rather than later, but there's really no one who's captivating the game. And maybe that's a veterans thing. Baseball, specifically pitching, is such a mental thing that it probably takes some maturity to get really good at it. It's not just about hitting your spots. It's about where you're throwing it. It's about being smart with your pitches, not getting too much of the plate, and having command and confidence on the mound. That comes with age as much as it comes with practice. Like you just need the experience. So you look at a guy like Max Scherzer, who's in his early 30s, and he's dominating. Chris Sale has never pitched better in his career. Clayton Kershaw, although he's dealing with health issues, is still on the top of his game. And even Justin Verlander, who might have sunken down a little bit this year. He should have won the Cy Young last year. He's 34 years old. So maybe you don't need it as much, but for the sake of the game, for the sake of getting kids involved and getting kids on board with the MLB, you need that on top of it. Still in a good spot. I think it's in a better spot than it was 5 years ago. But obviously, there's still a long way to go to stay ahead of the NBA.
Yeah, and just my thing, I can't wait for October. These playoffs are going to be great. I think obviously the NL is better than the AL, but man, the pennant race is going to be unreal. Like I have no idea who could end up winning it. Whoever gets hot, like at the right time, whatever. The Dodgers look unbeatable right now, but they haven't done well in the playoffs recently at all. So maybe that comes up with them. But who knows? Yu Darvish. They got Yu Darvish at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I didn't think they could get any better. They got Yu Darvish, and he pitched 7 scoreless his first outing. It's been such a great place. It's been so fun to watch this season. I just can't wait to see what happens in October.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see. And yeah, I think it's unpredictable. I think with the exception of the Dodgers, I think they'll come out of the NL if they get past that hump. Although that's a storyline within itself. Will they get past that hump? Will they make it to the World Series? And can they win a World Series? The AL is up for grabs. You never know. And for someone who's in Boston, the AL East is looking like it's going to come down to the wire between the Red Sox and Yankees, which is also a great thing for the MLB. Both teams have a lot of young talent. I don't like the Red Sox, but they're still fun to watch at times. So it's going to be exciting. We're approaching September in a few weeks, and that's really when it starts to get going. And I for one, am very excited to see where the season ends up.
So am I, man. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Jon and Lebo show. We'll come out with another show next week. Follow us on Twitter at Jon and Lebo Show, jonandleboshow.com as well. I'm at J_Sokolov. He's at Alex_Lebowitz. Did it for you. Don't worry, so you don't have to worry about that. And we'll be back next week, guys, for another show. All right, take care.